For a fun twist on a classic cocktail, you should make this right here. Let me show you how to make a reversed New York whiskey sour. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Matt, I'm the Whiskey Nerd, and like I said, today I'm making a fun little twist on a classic New York whiskey sour. I'm making a reverse New York whiskey sour, and I actually got the idea for this cocktail from my pal David Edwards. He runs a YouTube channel called Booze on the Rocks. He makes some fantastic cocktails, not just using whiskey. He uses rum and tequila and vodka, but this here is a whiskey-based cocktail. I'll leave a link down below to David's channel, which you can check out afterwards if you want to learn how to make way more cocktails that use not just whiskey, but today we're making a reverse New York whiskey sour. And as the name implies, it is a reversed New York sour. And you might be wondering, how do you do that? Well, the classic New York sour is basically just a simple enough whiskey sour with a wine float. I'll put a picture of that up there so you know what it is. So what happens is, essentially, different liquids have different densities depending on how much sugar is in them. So if you take a whiskey sour, which is, 2 parts whiskey, 1 part citrus and 1 part sugar with a bit of egg white, it actually has a good amount of sugar, but not a huge amount of sugar in there. It has a good amount of sugar, but it has more than wine. So if you pour some wine in, because the wine is less sugary, it's less dense, it's less heavy, it actually floats on top of the cocktail, like in that picture, which you'll see again up there. So it floats below the foam, the bubbles, which weigh like nothing, and it floats above the cocktail, which weighs a little bit more. So then in order to get a cocktail that kind of has a layer going the other way, you need a liquid that is red, but also heavier than wine. And that's where this comes in. This is port. This is essentially red wine, or it's a type of kind of red wine. It's a fortified red wine. So different producers make it different ways. This here is a port though, and it is a bit sugarier. It is a ruby port, so it is a bit sweeter, a bit richer, a bit riper than a tawny port, which has been aged. And it has a lot more sugar than red wine. So when I pour it into the cocktail at the end, it will actually sink to the bottom of my glass. The cocktail will sit here, and then the bubbles will be up on top again. So I think that's enough time talking about the cocktail. I think it's time I make it and show you how it looks. It is going to be a shake and drink, so I'm going to get my shaker kit. I'm going to pop a nice rock of ice into there before measuring out my ingredients. Starting off with my whiskey. I'm going to get this, it's Teeling Irish whiskey. This is a really nice whiskey for cocktails. It's been partially aged in rum cask. It's a blended whiskey. It's nice and sweet, nice and rich, and it comes in at 46% or 92 proof. So it comes in a nice bit of weight there. So it gives you a bit of flavor and a bit of punch that carries through into cocktails. So I'm going to go in with 60 ml or 2 ounces or 2 parts of my whiskey into there before going in with my sugar syrup and my lemon juice. Like I said, for me, whiskey sour, my favorite recipe is 2-1-1. So I went in with 2 ounces of my whiskey. I'm going to go in with 1 ounce or 30 ml of my lemon juice, and then again 1 ounce or 30 ml of my sugar syrup. That just keeps it nice and simple. Now for my egg white, because I do want an egg white, I think a whiskey sour with an egg white is really great. This is just a nice medium-sized egg. I've already shaken out a different egg, taken just the egg white, left the yolk behind. So pop that into there. And then for my bitters, so I'm going to go in with 2 dashes of Angostura and 1 dash of orange bitters. I think that gives you a nice bit of flavor, a nice bit of kind of heft to the cocktail. And when you go to the bubbles, the bitters will be in the bubbles at the end, so you get a nice bit of flavor despite it having a really nice, clean, even presentation. So I'm going to bang the top on this shaker and shake it away for 30 seconds to develop a nice head of foam. Okay, I think this is nicely chilled now, so I'm gonna bang the top off my cocktail shaker and get ready to strain it out. So for this, normally for a whiskey sour, I serve them straight up. I don't serve them with any ice, but because there's gonna be some port at the bottom of this glass, I want to put in a nice new fresh rock of ice, because that way it'll kind of interrupt when you're drinking and you will actually get the port as well. Otherwise, what would happen is you'd just be drinking all the cocktail and at the very end you would get the port. So having that bit of ice in there helps out a good deal. So I'm going to go in with my port now. I'm going to go in with just about 15 to 20 ml, just enough to give me a nice clear line at the very bottom of my glass. Pour that in there, just like that. You can see I've got this nice clear red line there, but it'll become way more obvious when I go in with my cocktail. So pop my strainer up top and just pour away nice and gently. We don't want to like mix the two because they are different weights, so they will separate naturally, but we want to keep them as separate as possible. So just nice and gently in there. Oh yes. Just like that. So what you could do, if you wanted, you could kind of, as like a little showmanship trick, you could pour the cocktail, then sink a bit of like port down the bottom. You could sink it down the side, but for me, that gives you a slightly messier presentation. I like this nice clean presentation, and once it settles, you'll see there'll be a nice distinct kind of 3 layers there. So I am gonna let this settle for just a second. And actually, while this settles, if you're new here, scroll down, hit that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button. I put out whiskey reviews every Wednesday. I put out cocktail recipes like this featuring whiskey every Friday. If you want to see more like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button and let me know if there are any cocktails you think I should make in future, because I'm always on the lookout for new recipes. I focus on making whiskey cocktails, and yeah, there's a whole world of whiskey cocktails out there, but I always want to make the best. So if you've got any suggestions for cocktails I should make, let me know down below, and I will just let this settle for just a couple seconds more and get really nice, clear, distinct lines on it. Okay, that's about as settled as I think it's going to get. I mean, if I let it settle for another minute or so, maybe another 30 seconds, I'd probably get some cleaner lines, but I really want to drink this now, so I'm going to go in and drink it now. It is looking really great, but let's hope it tastes just as good. Cheers. You can see on the back, the port has made its way up the glass there, because having that ice cube in there, I think is really important, because you get this kind of like lift because the port comes behind it, and so immediately you get a really nice whiskey sour. You get a lovely fresh lemon, whiskey, sugar, egg white, bitters. You get all those classic whiskey sour notes, and then behind it you get that big like punch of red wine, the port note. So in a classic New York sour, first off you get, oh, there's the red wine, and then it's followed by the bright fresh kind of whiskey sour. Here it's the reverse. You get the whiskey sour, your taste buds are primed, and you get this big hit of sugary sweet red wine. It gives it this really nice contrast, kind of a twist to the cocktail. Yeah, it's really nice. Like over time, as you keep drinking it, as the cocktail goes down, like they will get less of a separation, they will start mixing through, so you get more of a red wine whiskey sour cocktail. But for me, this here is fantastic. I don't know why I put it down. I'm definitely going to keep on enjoying it, and I'll see you next time. Sláinte.